This is Tilly Norwood, an aspiring Hollywood actress by way of the UK who burst onto the scene a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and was all the rage, literally, in the entertainment industry. Tilly has a strong social media presence, a growing fan base, even supposed interest from talent agencies. But there's something not quite normal going on here. As you may have guessed, Tilly is a photorealistic AI performer whose sudden emergence got the attention of the Screen Actors Guild, or SAG-AFTRA, who have been sounding the alarm about synthetic actors being trained on human performances without compensation or consent. Now, you know, there are vast sectors of our economy where AI has yet to make a material difference, but in entertainment, AI is everywhere and all the talk. So viewers, join us as we head off into uncharted territory today on Cornell Keynotes. Today we are, as you may have guessed, covering a fascinating, kind of a weird, an extremely complicated topic today, artificial intelligence in entertainment. Now, there's a lot going on in this space. As I've said, it can be a bit dizzying. So we've brought in entertainment and intellectual property attorney Howard Leib to help us make sense of some of this and give us some perspective on what we're facing as a society. Howard, lovely to have you in the studio today.
Happy to be back on Keynotes. We'll see if we can keep the vertigo at a minimum as we go through our session.
Please, sir, we must. Howard, what's going on here? What are you seeing?
Well, what I'm seeing is a lot of concern, a lot of fear, a lot of new technology, doing things that technology has done for a long time. Tilly, I will refer to Tilly as it or she, depending on what comes out of my mouth throughout the next 40 minutes or so. Tilly is different only in degree. We have always had artificial performers on the screen. Earliest on, we called them animation. Bugs Bunny is not a real person.
Oh.
Though some people think that he is. What really got people upset a month or so back, as you mentioned, was not that Tilly existed, but that it was revealed that agents were looking to sign Tilly, to put her into parts and films, which led people to believe that Tilly was going to be put into films opposite live human actors. The company that created Tilly, I'm blanking.
Particle 6.
Particle 6. I knew it was something 6.
Yeah.
Says that that's not what they're trying to do.
Okay.
The head of Particle 6 has identified 3 areas of film: live action, animation, and AI. Mm-hmm. She believes that each should stay in their own lane, but the reality is they're not all going to stay in their own lane. AI is already being used in film. It's going to continue to be used in film. The question is to what extent, and to what extent is AI going to replace human beings in film? That's the fear. Have we become expendable, at least as creators and performers? Certainly not as audience, because if the AI is the only one watching, it doesn't generate any money.
Right, so huge legal questions to consider as we hit several of these prompts and questions that you and I have landed on. Now, let me back up to your experience here. You're an intellectual property and entertainment attorney. You've been working in the entertainment business for quite some time with some clients. Let me hit the list here, like Whitney Houston, B.B. King, Kiss. That must have been a handful.
We're not going to talk about that today.
Okay, no Kiss talk. BB and CeCe Winans, Bobby McFerrin, Judy Collins. Labels such as MCA, BMG, Atlantic, Arista, and so on. The list goes on. So given your experience in this space, in the legal profession, how does this make you all feel as a lawyer, but also as a member of society and as a human being? Two-part question there.
Okay.
All right.
I'll start with a human being, because I was a human being long before I was a lawyer.
Please.
Some might even say I still am, but not everybody.
Okay.
As a human being, it scares me.
Why?
Because I don't know where it's going. I don't know what it will ultimately do. I'm not scared of it as it is right this moment. Mm-hmm. It's powerful. It can do many things. But I'm scared about what it will become, because as with any technology, it's either going to continue growing or it's going to wither and die. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it's going to wither and die, although there is talk about this AI bubble, but that's on the financial side.
Yes.
The technology is out there and people are going to keep using it, not just in the entertainment industry, but in all fields. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live in a society where cases are decided by AI.
Yeah.
Could that happen? Yes. Will it happen? I hope not. Fortunately, I'm old and it probably won't happen in my lifetime. As a lawyer, it's fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating because we have these concepts: copyright, trademark, right of publicity, trade secret, that we are now applying in a whole new form. The last time I found a technology this exciting was when the internet showed up. I mean, you can keep Bitcoin and blockchain and all of that stuff, or NFTs, God forbid. Yeah, people were excited about NFTs, but that one withered and died.
Yeah.
This one looks like it's going to hang around because the possible uses for it are so vast. And the problems are also so vast. Already, AI can theoretically replace a lot of first-year associates at law firms.
Yes.
Doing research and basic writing and everything. And that's fine, but where are the senior attorneys going to come from 7 to 12 years from now if we don't have first-year attorneys? Eventually, we have to make a decision. What are we going to trade off to save the dollars or save the people? So it scares me, but it fascinates me. And that's one of the reasons I teach about it.
In your experience, before we started talking here today, before the cameras were rolling, actually, we talked about this this phenomenon that AI is being used it feels kind of recklessly. There's constant chatter of, wow, we need to really kind of just take a pause here, but it doesn't appear that that's where things are going, and certainly in the entertainment industry. Any thoughts on that? Well,
it does seem to be full speed ahead.
Yeah.
Even when the AI companies say, hey, hang back, our software lies all the time.
And we're settling lawsuits. And
gets 80% of things wrong. We're paying $1.5 billion. People go, oh, they're just kidding, and they keep going.
Yeah.
Right now, Google, uses AI in their searches and gives you that little block at the top with the AI explanation. And the amount of click-throughs to other sites to check information have gone way, way down. Yeah. And again, I teach this, I stress this to my students. AI, as it stands today, is not reliable. There are studies that show that different AIs get things wrong up to 80% of the time.
Right.
If it gets things wrong 2% of the time, it's not considered reliable. At 80, you might as well be making the answers up yourself.
Right.
So, but it's easy and it's fast, and people hook into it and go, well, it's there. It says it's the answer. And this is not a matter of education or whatever. Lawyers are getting pulled in and disciplined for using AI-generated briefs that cite cases that don't exist.
Oh.
And judges are even now getting disciplined for putting out decisions that were created by AI, again, with cases and quotes that don't exist. It is human nature to try and take the easy path. And it's very hard to fight human nature.
So that answers my question about the recklessness, relative recklessness.
It's reckless because we're reckless.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. So we're talking about the Tilly Norwood case. This brings up a bunch of questions, right? So the question is, and this is the through line, it's going to be a through line in the conversation that we remain to have, which is AI performers can be trained on human performances, right?
They have to be.
They have to be, without consent or compensation. I want you to parse that for me in a moment. So what legal protection do actors have over their own likenesses and performances so that they can continue to kind of own that? And where do you see the biggest gaps that need to be addressed?
Well, that's actually two separate things.
Okay.
You're right. As things stand right now, AIs, not just ones that produce Tilly, but AIs that produce everything, are training primarily on materials that they either license, which is fine. Reddit has licensed its entire content. If you're on Reddit out there, you're in an AI database. But also things they simply find on the internet. Basically, not things, but the entirety of the internet. The internet.
Yeah.
Trillions of bits of data that go in, depending on what the AI's purpose is, et cetera. And we are in the very early days of AI litigation, in that we have very few decisions. But the ones we have so far seem to be pointing in the direction that unless you have violated some rule in how you acquire the data that you're feeding into your AI to train it, it's okay to go out and scrape the internet. Now, there are other things being done to try and stop people from doing that. I'm blanking the name of the entity that runs about a third of the internet. But they've set up a process where you can stop bots from coming in and scraping your data, or you can charge them for coming in and scraping your data, which at least monetizes it for the people who own the data. If you are a human performer, well, your performance is out there in movies, TV shows, commercials, web blogs, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That stuff is all available, with some limitations possibly, to the various bots and spiders that are out floating around on the web, gathering information for the AI. It seems to be that that is acceptable. There was a decision just last week in the UK involving Getty Images, which basically said that Getty couldn't win that suit because the company that scraped all their data didn't keep a copy. That seems to be the big issue. Do they keep a copy of the material that they have scraped through? If you do, then that violates literally a copyright, the right to make copies. That's the primary initial right that the copyright law gives you.
So they should have paid to acquire that.
Well, or they should have not kept a copy.
Or not,
not Anthropic, I may have been Anthropic. I'm blanking which company, just settled for $1.5 billion with writers. The reason for that was not that they came and scraped their material, but that they obtained the material that they were using by taking it from another infringer who had illegally made copies of it. And the judge in that case said, they made copies, you Anthropic kept copies, they kept a library of these for future use. That's a violation, you lose. Not because they had scraped. Now, the same week, 10 days that case came out, from another judge in the same circuit, the same district court, Northern District of California, was another decision that said, if the plaintiffs had raised the issue that the amount of material that the AI can produce could impinge on their market, you probably would have won, but you didn't raise the issue, so I can't give it to you on that basis. That's an entirely different way of looking at it. We are in, as I say, very early days. We have almost no circuit court opinions, let alone the Supreme Court stating what's going to happen. And of course, if Congress could pass anything, they could come in and make rules about this as well by altering the copyright law. But so far, none of that is happening. So we're using laws that were not designed to handle this kind of massive consumption of data and massive output of data on AI, which can do both those things.
I want to ask you about the output side of this thing. So when we think about an AI performer being trained on human performances in order to create the new thing, who owns that intellectual property, the output in this case that you referred to?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I will give you the lawyer's answer.
Go.
It depends.
Oh, yeah?
That's the lawyer's favorite answer because you can never go wrong with it depends.
Yeah.
In the first instance, it would seem like the person who sits down at the keyboard and types in, create a young woman actress, blah, 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 would own that.
Sure.
And that may be the case, but it may not. There has been a decision by the Copyright Office that in order to get copyright protection, and without copyright protection, your work's in the public domain and anybody can use it. As somebody once said, creation without protection is an act of charity. Without that protection, it's free game for anybody.
Okay.
The Copyright Office originally said no AI materials can be copyrighted. They've backed off of that. They've now said they can be copyrighted if there was significant human involvement in the creation.
So what does that look like?
Another very good
the
question, Chris.
significant part.
Yes,
Okay.
significant is the key word there. You know, the thing I like to compare it to is photography. If I take a camera or my cell phone, and I close my eyes, and I hold it over my head, and I click the shutter, and it takes a picture, I own a copyright in that. There was no real human involvement in that other than pushing the button. But the copyright law allows me to own that picture.
It was significant enough.
It doesn't. We don't make that distinction.
Or you don't make that. I understand.
There was a time where we didn't know if photography was eligible for copyright. About 100 years ago, there was a decision that it was. For AI, the act of sitting at the keyboard and typing the prompt, if anything, to me, is more involvement than just closing your eyes and pushing the button. Now, my photography friends tell me, no, real photography, you set up the shot and you adjust the shutters, and they're right.
Yes.
But you don't have to do that. That's only, quote, real photography.
Yeah.
I'm not a real photographer.
Sure.
I push a button. AI, it's the same thing. You know, the Tilly Norwood creation had 15 different people working on it, focused on things like freckles and facial shape and color and all that. That's almost definitely enough human content or contribution to make Tilly copyrightable. But if I just type in, create a character, I mean, early on when AI was first breaking and the audio part came on, I sat at the AI and said, create a 30-minute, down-tempo country track, 30-second rather, down-tempo, and it did. Would I be able to copyright that? Almost definitely not.
No.
That's not sufficient. We could change it in either direction by changing the copyright law, making all AI creations copyrightable, or making no AI creations copyrightable, or trying to distinguish what constitutes sufficient. And we will get to that over time, but we're not there yet.
Okay. There's precedence for this. I want to stick to the output part of this. You have some cool historical examples that help us kind of answer some of these questions that I've brought up so far. Let's talk about the photography example.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There was a case, a photographer by the name of Slater was a nature photographer. And he was in the wild, and he left his camera out where he knew this macaque ape would be coming along in the hopes that the macaque ape, whose name was Naruto, at least that's the name we gave.
Okay.
That's his human name, would come along and get the camera and take photographs and see what happens. And it worked.
What happened?
Well, we got this wonderful monkey selfie. Can we show the people the monkey selfie?
There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
There's Naruto. It's a really cute picture. And Slater went out monetizing this picture.
Made money from that.
Made money on it.
Yep.
And a lawsuit was brought on by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, who got the court to appoint them Naruto's next friend, which means representative in that court, suing on the basis that Naruto should own the copyright in that.
And therefore materially benefit from this?
Yes, exactly.
Make money.
Well, why not?
Or whatever.
And if you look at just the copyright process, Naruto's the one who picked up the camera and pushed the button. That's Naruto's creativity, not Slater's, so makes sense. Except there is a long-standing line of cases that say only humans can own copyright.
Okay.
And that feels good, and that feels right. It's a lie, but it feels good.
Yeah.
And the reason it's a lie is we allow corporations and LLCs and partnerships and the government to own copyright, none of which are people, but under the law, they get treated as people.
Yes.
But courts did not extend that courtesy to our friendly neighborhood macaque ape. And after several decisions, this case went on for years, Slater won the case. There was a settlement in which, after winning the cases, PETA agreed not to appeal any further. There was a settlement. Slater was making contributions to macaque ape charities, and he gets to go back to monetizing the photo.
Okay.
We now have the AI, which is less sentient, at least at the moment, than Naruto. Naruto is at least a mammal. There was an artist by the name of Thaler, very early on in the AI process,
Okay, a couple of years ago or something.
probably 3-4 at this point,
All right.
created a work of art using AI, award-winning work of art, went to copyright it. The Copyright Office said no. It was an AI-created work, and as such was not eligible for copyright. He sued, Thaler sued the Copyright Office. The district court said, not human, no copyright. Court of Appeals said, not human, no copyright. Thaler has recently, in the past couple of months, filed for a writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court, asking them to take the case. They have not decided if they're taking it or not. I doubt they will, but they do a lot of things that surprise me. So, and even if they take it, I doubt they will find that the AI-created work by itself is eligible for copyright. So, who owns the AI output? Right now, possibly no one, if it's purely AI created, whatever that may mean, or without substantial human input, in which case the public owns it. It's in the public domain. It could be, at least the human input parts could be owned by the creator. It could be that it's owned by the AI company. If the AI company sets up their terms of service such that they own the copyright and everything, congratulations, they own it. It could be that the AI owns it. Now, before everybody, I suspect that several people just kind of threw up in their mouths a little bit.
Yeah.
There is a small, I can't say growing, I don't know if it is, I hope it is not, movement for personhood for AI, which takes the belief that AI is or is about to become sentient, and as such is entitled to human rights.
Okay.
Wherever that ends up, I have my own pretty obvious position on that. I think I've made it clear already. If AI is found to be sentient and entitled to civil rights, it might also be entitled to own property and copyrights and what have you. As I say, I'm old. I probably won't see that, and I hope I don't.
Okay, good one. I want to go back to the human input component. There are a couple cases that have preceded where we are in the conversation now. A couple other historical examples, rather. Let's talk about some of those examples where the question of human input versus output ended up being a pretty big factor. Who's this?
Well, this they can't see yet. They haven't been shown the slide.
There we go.
I'm old enough to remember 45 years ago. I was sentient 45 years ago.
Yeah.
And 45 years ago, we were told that we had the first computer-generated sentient creature, and his name was Max Headroom.
Yeah.
This was during the
MTV.
He had a position on MTV.
Yeah.
He had a TV. He's actually British first.
Okay.
He had a TV show on ABC here.
Yeah.
He had an origin story where this reporter had an accident, and he was going under a bridge which had maximum headroom, max headroom, and he had mental issues which led to his brain patterns being downloaded. It was all a hoax,
Sure.
is what it turned out to be.
Okay.
Max was actually an actor by the name of Matt Freuer. There's Matt,
Yeah.
who you may have seen in some other things. But for a little while, he did 7-Up commercials. For a little while, we were being led to believe that we were where we actually are now. And even recently, a year or two back, there was a audio track put out that was supposedly a new George Carlin work. It wasn't actually George Carlin. We knew it wasn't actually George Carlin. They were very careful not to say it was George Carlin, but it was something like, hey, what am I doing dead? And it was supposedly written by AI, performed by AI. It wasn't, as it turned out. It was written by 2 DJs, Kelly Carlin, George's daughter. I actually spoke with her when this was happening. She said, we have very good lawyers, it's fine. And they did. They had very good lawyers.
Yes.
And they got it shut down, and the DJs agreed not to do it anymore. Today, you probably could do that if you fed all of George's routines into the AI, and George has a ton of material, I mean, just huge amounts. It could probably kick out something that at least approximates a George Carlin monologue. I mean, it's not something I think I would enjoy. I'm a comedy person.
Yes.
And I know most of George's stuff. I don't think I would be fooled, and I don't know that I would enjoy it that much. I didn't enjoy the one that was created
Yeah.
because it was not sharp in the way that George is. But there are ways of creating this material that can approximate what a human might do without human involvement, and that raises all kinds of issues.
Let's talk about an even older scenario. We talked about rotoscoping a little bit. I want to look at this image. Would you explain rotoscoping real quick?
Sure. Rotoscoping is a process in animation. This came up when I started thinking about the Tilly Norwood case situation as an extension of animation.
Sure.
We've always had animation that approximated human beings. Think of Snow White. I mean, it was easy to tell it wasn't a human, but it was as close to actual human beings as we had at that point. In the 20s, maybe it was the 30s, the Fleischer brothers, Dave Fleischer.
It's Superman cartoons.
They did the Superman cartoons very shortly after Superman was created.
Those are amazing.
They are fantastic cartoons. They're all available on YouTube. I recommend them to anybody who's not seen them.
Yeah.
The opening sequence of the first one, The Destruction of Krypton, one of the most beautiful pieces of animation I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But the rotoscope was created. It allowed the animator to trace the animation over a film of a live human being, walking, talking, whatever. So in Alice in Wonderland, the slide you're looking at there is the Mad Hatter, who is based on and voiced by the actor Ed Wynn, the Texaco fire chief, the perfect fool. Nobody remembers Ed Wynn. It's sad, but they don't.
Okay.
But the Mad Hatter moves like Ed Wynn moves. It was a leap forward in animation because now your animation moved like a human being. Instead of the old squash and stretch that they had with early Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and others, you now had realistic movement. Now, you still needed a human being to do the animation, but even with that, 20 years ago, I did a tour of Nickelodeon animation studios in New York, and it used to be you had an animator drawing 24 frames per each second of animation. With the computers that they had there, you would have a lead animator draw the first and the last of those 24, and the computer could fill in all the others. Pretty amazing, actually. Cuts costs way down, speeds times up hugely. The AI characters can kind of do that as well. The difference with the AI characters over standard animation, it's not that they can interact on a screen with humans. We've been doing that since the 30s. There was a Porky Pig cartoon that did that. Many of our viewers will know Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The difference is AI may be able, and I haven't been able to determine that it's able to now, but by a week from Thursday maybe, to improvise dialogue, to do dialogue back and forth between two characters, both of them creating it and improvising it. Right now, mostly dialogue's being fed to these AI characters that either a person or another AI has created. But once the AI can appear on screen and create their own dialogue, it starts to have all the appearances of a human doing that. And that's very scary to people in the industry who make a living doing things like that.
Let's talk about music a little bit. Tell me what, well, Drake has ruffled some legal feathers in over the last year. Tell us about some of the scenarios that have played out in the music space.
Earlier than that, Drake was actually the subject of an AI copy, if you will.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, give or take, a track came out called Heart on My Sleeve, which was supposedly by Drake in The Weeknd. It sounded like something that would have been created by Drake in The Weeknd. It sounded like Drake in The Weeknd, except it wasn't. It was purely AI created. They fed all the Drake tracks in, and the AI kicked something out
In the style of.
in the
Or-
style of Drake.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Drake. It was fake Drake in the middle of the week, not the weekend.
Okay.
And I believe it was Universal, to whom Drake is signed as an artist, went out and got YouTube and everybody else to take it down. Problem is, I don't think they had a legal basis to do that,
Why?
because it doesn't. When you create something in the style of, that is not a copyright infringement.
Okay.
The songwriter and performer John Fogerty of Creedence Clearwater Revival. Again, if you're as old as I am, you remember Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
He sold all his copyrights to somebody else, and then went out and wrote new songs. And the somebody else sued him for copyright infringement, saying these new songs sound just like those old songs you sold me. And Fogerty's very successful defense was, I didn't copy it. That's just my writing style. It's how my songs sound. And the court bought that, and he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had clients where I've had the same situation. There was a Dave Matthews situation where my guy wrote kid songs under the name of Dave Math Shoes in the style of. And, we got a letter and we sent it back, and they said, look, this is what this is. And they left us alone, as they should, because we were right. When you do that, there's no copyright infringement. Universal, if I'm right, that's who the company was, only has a cause of action in that situation if something they control, the pre-existing Drake tracks, are being infringed. Now, Drake and The Weeknd could well have done that, gone after them for right of publicity violations. Right of publicity is the right a celebrity has to control the monetization of their name and likeness. It's similar to the right of privacy, but it's not about being left alone. It's about making money off your name and likeness.
Okay.
And that's the 40-second explanation of something I spend about 90 minutes in class going over. But if you understand that, you're doing okay. And for that, because it did sound like them, and voice is one of the indicia of personality that we protect under right of publicity, Drake or The Weeknd could have gone after them. They didn't have to, because Universal got them all taken down. The Carlin people went after on the same basis. There was no copyright infringement. It wasn't a George Carlin routine, but they were trying to make it sound like George to the best they could, and that was their basis for going after them. So there's all kinds of different rights that get involved here. This all, and we kind of sloshed over this a moment ago, this all deals with the output of the AI. The input we talked about a little, the scraping and all that, but the output seems to be where the courts are focused. And there the rules are the same as anything else. It doesn't matter that it's AI. If what you have created is too close to a pre-existing work, then you may have infringed copyright. If you use somebody else's trademarks, that's trademark infringement. If you use somebody else's voice or face, that's right of publicity violation. Those rules still apply. They don't go away just because you're doing it digitally.
So you had just described real musicians, real artists being involved in various legal challenges. I want to pivot to this example here. You and I had talked about platforms being kind of overloaded with AI-generated music.
Slop, it is called.
Slop. I think a lot of people in our audience are probably to some degree familiar with this. This is a band called the Velvet Sundown. We're going to see them here. This band had a number of songs on Spotify. They were cranking them out faster than people can really make records. They had a whole media ecosystem set up, social media platforms. This raises a different kind of issue. They were on Instagram. Bots were doing their work on Instagram, communicating with fans or people that follow them, et cetera. The songs were fine. They were kind of average, but passable. They were okay. But here's the twist. Their songs violated the streaming service's usage terms, and the artists were trained on human likenesses. What kind of complication came out of the situation with the Velvet Sundown and all the rest of the AI-generated slop that's on these platforms? Who owns this?
Well, I mean, if there's significant human input, and I suspect there is here, then whoever created them owns them. It's not unakin to, again, if you're as old as I am, the Archies. The song Sugar Sugar, some of you may know that. There was no group, the Archies. It was real human beings.
Sure.
But this is just the Archies without real human beings. Spotify does have rules as to what you can put on. They have a limit. I think they've limited you to 100 tracks a day. Now, no human being can create 100 tracks a day.
Sure.
This can't be done. AI can. They can create 100 tracks an hour if they work at it. Spotify, I believe, is now requiring that you disclose, when you're using AI.
Okay.
And they're working towards that more generally. YouTube definitely requires that now. And I don't think these people did. So that was one of the violations. Spotify, as many of you may know, pays based on streams. People have to listen in order for you to be able to monetize whatever you've put up on Spotify. Spotify has recently taken down millions of tracks because they were purely AI created. Most of them, Spotify says, the vast majority of them, had almost no listens. In order to monetize, you have to have like 1,000 listens from a certain undisclosed number of separate listeners on Spotify. And those rules are true on other services. Deezer and other services pointed out that at least a third of what they get sent on any given day is AI created. Most tracks on Spotify or Deezer have virtually no listening. The huge majority have under 100 listens. A very large number have under 1 listen. Even the people who put them up aren't listening to them.
Okay.
The real issue for me that this gets to, and we touched on it, I think, in the very first question, but I didn't really deal with it, is public's acceptance of this, of AI actors, of any of that. Because if the public isn't going to accept it, there's no money to be made in it, and it will wither on the vine. A large portion of the public not only accepts it, but doesn't even notice the difference. There have been studies on this. The one I cite in my course is a study into poetry, where they found that people could not tell the difference between AI-created poetry and human-created poetry, and in fact, liked the AI poetry better. Now, if that is the case, generally, let's say the public decides they like AI music better, then there is nothing we can do that is going to keep AI music out of the public's hands, because that will be where the money is to be made. The public generally doesn't seem to care one way or the other, unless they can tell the difference. They want music they like. And this band that we were talking about a moment ago got a fair number of streams. Some of it was just curiosity when people found out they were AI.
Yeah.
But some of it was, hey, I kind of like that.
I can see that.
Yeah, and of course we have people. You mentioned Drake earlier. He had material that he included in his own tracks that was AI produced, imitating other artists, which got some of those artists a bit
like Snoop and
Snoop Dogg was not happy, but people didn't rear up and say, "Oh, well, we're not going to listen to that."
Yeah,
I mean, if people accept this, and I suspect they will over time, maybe not right now, it will change the entire industry in the same way that people didn't originally accept film. There are at least stories, though they may be apocryphal, where people were shown very early on film of a train coming out at them and ran out of the room or the tent they were in because they thought they were going to be killed by an oncoming train. It took a while for these newfangled gadgets, as they were referred to be accepted. Will these be accepted? Yes. Is that a good thing? Depends on your point of view. I don't think so myself, but the people being born right now will probably grow up with this being the norm, in the same way that CGI is now totally accepted as the norm. Is that good for society? That's not for me to judge. It's not good for society the way I view it, but I'm only one person in society.
Yeah, I want to go back to a different question that we touched on also earlier. And this is this, how can studios, tech companies, talent unions, et cetera, strike a good balance between actually supporting innovation, aiming to please more people with entertainment, while protecting artists' livelihoods? We really kind of touched on it just a little bit, but can you talk about the work that SAG-AFTRA is doing
Sure.
in this case? Because this is actually a fascinating central argument, at least on the Hollywood side.
Well, when you pull the camera back and look at it, the studio's concern is to make money. SAG-AFTRA's concern is to protect the jobs of its members. Pleasing the public is secondary to both of those. It is a way to make money and a way to create jobs, but it's not the individual goal.
Yeah.
It may be for individual actors or directors or what have you. SAG-AFTRA and the studios, people will probably remember that a year, 2 years ago, somewhere in between, we had a writer's strike and an actor's strike that shut Hollywood down, TV and film. And the reason for that was several things, but the last issue for both of them, stayed on the table, was AI. What can we do? For both of them, for both unions, guilds, came down to is you can use AI, but you still have to pay people as if you weren't. Why? Because they were trying to protect jobs, not prevent AI, because they realized they can't. It's going to save the studios money in the long run. The same company that made Tilly has a division that uses AI with existing films to help studios do things more cheaply in terms of backgrounds, sets, things of that sort. So they don't have to create real ones; they can do them through AI. And studios are doing that and will continue to. If the studio thought today that they could make an entire film with no actors, no writers, and no director, no costume designers, no scenery designers, and the public would go out and pay lots of money to see it in the millions, they would do it in a heartbeat, because their job is to make money for their stockholders. They're corporations. That is one of the things about corporations why I don't think they should be people. But actors want to work and want to be paid. I'm less concerned, frankly, at this moment about primary actors than I am about, say, extras. Because with the AI, you can create thousands of extras in the background. The comedian Stan Freberg has a routine called Anybody Remember Radio? Stan was a radio comedian back in the 50s. And one of the things in this is he creates this entire scenescape that includes thousands of screaming extras, all done with audio. And at the end, he goes, try doing that on TV, because you couldn't then. But now you can, because the AI can create thousands of people. If you create, using AI, a synthetic actor, I think that's what we're calling them now, synthetic actor that looks like an actual actor or uses the mannerisms of an actual actor, you are supposed to, under the SAG-AFTRA agreement, pay that actor and get their permission to do it. You don't just get to do it. Same with extras. But with extras, you can have 10,000 Tillys out there, none of whom were based on an actual people, sitting in a stadium watching whatever it is you're doing on the screen. It is a dangerous place to be if you are not somebody who attracts an audience by your personal name and appearance in a film.
Can we and should we stop this?
Can we? No. Should we? I don't know. I mean, should we have stopped the companies that made us stop buying buggy whips? I don't know. There are very few buggy whip companies out there right now.
Yes.
There are going to be jobs lost right now. There's no question there are going to be jobs lost. The predictions run everything from some to all jobs will be lost. And it's probably somewhere between the two. Industries change. I mean, industries have always changed. We have far few, when I'm teaching film, I go through the various credits in the film. It's one of the things that we do in the master's class as well. And there was a job, I love this job title, cable puller. The cable puller's job was to literally pull cables. But now everything is Bluetooth or self-contained. You don't really need a cable puller. Should we have stopped the Bluetooth from coming on to save the jobs of the cable pullers? I'm sure the cable pullers thought so.
Yeah.
Again, and it falls to not me or you or the studios to make this decision, but rather what the public's willing to accept. If the public accepts AI actors, synthetic actors, then the studios will use them. If the public doesn't accept them, then they will either use them less or not use them at all. Should we do this? Well, we can regulate how things are done. This is probably going to be done by negotiation, but bear in mind the Writers Guild negotiations, the SAG-AFTRA negotiations, only affect projects that fall under those guilds. Independent productions, low-budget productions, there's no regulation on that at all. We still have the regulations we've talked about you can't go out and use Whitney Houston without the family's permission. My understanding is those are being negotiated.
You mentioned that
right now. But I'm not involved with that, so that's fine. There's a time I would have been, but not today.
Yeah.
And so we still have some protections in place, but as a society, certainly here in Europe and such, we don't issue edicts and say this technology will not be used. Because even if we do, it's still going to be used. It's out there. The cat is out of the bag, as they say.
For people that work in entertainment, creators, artists, performers, etc., do you have any advice on how to encourage people to creatively use AI while also thinking about how to legally protect themselves or thinking about their own IP? Do you have any advice for people who are working in those spaces?
Well, I think you hit on something when you said creatively use AI. Learn the technology, especially if you're on the technical side of the industry. Learn the technology. When I was a wee tyke, working at WKCR-FM 89.9, New York, when I wanted to edit a report, I had tape in front of me and a razor blade and some kind of editing Scotch tape type thing to put things together. I was very good at it. I could edit the S off the end of a word. Mm-hmm. That's a useless skill today because it's all done digitally. And, I can bemoan the loss of the ability to edit tape, but that's the reality. AI is also going to be used for editing. It's going to be used for script, at least supervising and revisions, if not original writing. Learn the technology. There's an old phrase, know thy enemy. The more you know about it, the better you're going to be able to figure out where you fit into all of this. If you're an actor, develop a name, an independent name. I was watching a Martin Scorsese documentary yesterday. And he had a film he'd wanted to do for 20, 25 years, and Leonardo DiCaprio wanted to work with him and had just gotten to the point where he could finance his own films and say so. And that's how that film got made, because he was DiCaprio wanted to do it and was in a position to do so. Those actors will be okay, at least for a while. And for a long while, in fact, because once they get too old, they can license their image and be actors who are much younger than they actually are. But, for extras, for background singers, background musicians, I don't have great advice. I mean, they're coming for your jobs.
Viewer Heidi asks, could you go over again some tips for protecting our social media, our websites, artists and arts organizational platforms in this case, from being scrubbed at this juncture? Can we afford ourselves any legal protection or technical protection?
Well, first off, Heidi, thank you for the question. I appreciate that. I love questions. So if you're out there and you have them, send them in. There are robot.txt files, which you can put into your website. The public doesn't see them, but when the little robot comes along and knocks on the door, they see that. There is a company out there, I remember the name now, it's Cloudflare, and they kind of manage about a third of the internet. They have a program now that allows you, as the website owner, to set your robot.txt file so that either it says to the little spider coming along, go away, come in, or pay a toll to come in. It's not a very large toll, it's probably pennies, but when you have this many spiders crawling around, it can add up. I don't have all the details on the program, but I would suggest looking into that. Put the proper notices on your site, your copyright notices. And police, I don't mean the police, I mean police your site. There are programs out there that can allow you to use AI to fight AI. That's how we always do it. We create a technology, and then we use that technology to fight itself. To find when your material is showing up in other places. You'll have your own little robots crawling the internet looking for things. Watch for this stuff. Also, I mean, generally speaking, for whatever kind of creator you may be, watch for these class actions that are going on. They will, as most class actions are, ultimately be unsatisfying, but with the Anthropic, each author is getting, I think, $3,000 per work that was scrubbed. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's better than not being compensated at all. Watch these class actions. Make sure that you're involved, or at least they know that you have content that's involved. Because lawsuits, I didn't really talk about this earlier, but lawsuits are really one of the primary ways that we are trying to rein in the various AI companies that are out there grabbing stuff. It's one of the reasons that they've started licensing things from newspapers, because the New York Times is suing. And the potential damages, because these companies use so much information, run into the billions and maybe even trillions of dollars. It's a good incentive to try and settle. But be vigilant, be involved, and watch for what's going on out there. Those would be my best suggestions.
Viewer Joshua asks, you mentioned the elimination of first-year associates and the complication for the then future of senior attorneys. What advice do you have for actors who are looking to break into the industry where background work may no longer be a channel? You get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first off, if it's not a channel, and I don't think it's going to be for long, don't look at background work. What is going to happen, what has to happen, especially as the major studios move more and more towards AI, is independent projects. You're going to have to write, direct, and star in your own projects, or gather your own little group, which is what Scorsese has essentially done too, because he's worked both major studio and independent, so that you have a director, a writer, you and some other actors, because the technology, including AI, makes it so much cheaper to do all this that you can use the AI and use the camera in your phone and all the rest to make your own projects and put them out on YouTube or wherever, and try and develop your own market. This, in the same way that bands are putting out their own music now, and vinyl is making a comeback as well. Things don't go away; they become niche. And to the extent that you want to break in, that is a way to do it. Even if it's on TikTok, there are a lot of places, actors right now, who are getting hired because people found them on TikTok, and on YouTube and other places. You will have to find creative new ways to do this. I spent a lot of time working in the kids' entertainment industry, and that's what the kids' entertainment industry has had to do, because there aren't major company markets out there to get their stuff out. Most of entertainment, a lot of it anyway, is going to, and a lot of it already has, become kids' entertainment, in that you have to create your own opportunities. Streaming doesn't pay very much in music. So musicians have had to get creative in other ways too. Actors are now facing the same thing.
For those in our audience who aspire to get into this work, the legal professions associated with entertainment, et cetera, you're a faculty author of the Cornell's Entertainment Law and Business Certificate Program, 5 or 6 course certificate program. And among those, there's the final course in the sequence, which is titled AI, the Law, and its Effect on the Entertainment Industry. Can we talk a little bit about who this is for? We're thinking about artists protecting their own work, but is this for, legal professionals, or is it for a broader audience? Who would benefit from taking
it? It is a broader audience.
Is it?
It was written to be for a broader audience.
Okay.
I've been teaching for over 40 years, and I've spent a lot of time teaching legal topics to non-legal professionals. Mm-hmm. I would say this course is aimed at people who want to understand this world better, this changing world better, as well as legal professionals who want to understand the law of AI better. The whole course includes topics on general intellectual property law. I would certainly think that would be a good starting place as well as the AI. If you go through the whole certificate, or even just the AI part and the IP part, it will give you a good grounding, whether you have a legal background or not, in what the issues are here, how we are attacking it. We have a bunch of stuff that I do on like who the owners are. You'll see the Naruto picture again. All of those things are there. But yes, this is not specifically for legal professionals. I compliment myself in the belief that I am good at explaining these things in terms that you don't need a JD degree to understand. I tell my students, do not talk in legalese. There is no prize for the most legalese. So we try to explain things in plain language, straightforward, so that lawyers and non-lawyers can both get a lot out of this. And we have topics we cover on film, on music. I don't remember if we did theater or not. I think we did, but I'm not positive. Definitely AI, a general overview of the entertainment industry, and the intellectual property section. And I would suggest, I think we have a link in the chat. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So heads up, viewers, we're going to drop a couple of URLs for you for the entertainment law, the certificate program, specifically, and a couple other useful links as well. The Cornell Law School also has a 100% online master's degree program in legal studies, for which you are also additionally a faculty author. We're going to drop that AI Commissioner Tilly Norwood sketch in the thing as well.
You take 2 minutes and watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
All AI created, 100%.
100%. Howard Leib, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming in the studio.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Chris.
Yeah, you bet.
Come back anytime you ask me.
Okay, thanks, partner.
Thank you guys for being out there.
Thanks, viewers. We'll see you on the next keynote.